Well, hello everybody. It's Danny back from Deepsouth Homestead in the Prepper Shack. About the only place I got that I can stay cool outside. It's so hot. But it is August. I'm not going to fret about that. We are really looking forward to the fall season as far as being able to plant a few things. I've got several things going on in the high tunnel. I think there'll be some good videos coming up, about that. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. We are having to make some changes, though, about the way we're going to garden, and I'm going to explain that a little bit here. AI sure does help out with a lot of stuff, and it makes some things are bad, but a lot of things are good. One of the beauties of AI is we now have the ability to look into, let's say 3 or 4 months into the future, weather-wise, because it can predict it almost perfectly now. Thus, weather people makes it a lot easier on them, I'm pretty sure. But it also has its downside. Did you know that you can know too much? Do you know you can rob yourself of the joy of tomorrow? That is a big issue in people's lives. And I have to be one of the first to raise my hand and say that I'm probably one of the ones that's guilty of that. Back when I done some counseling and I worked with other counselors and different things, one of the things we used to tell ourselves was, tomorrow is a clean slate. Don't add anything to tomorrow today, because it's a clean slate. Don't put anything there because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. It's a clean slate. So don't tarnish it with something from today. Well, with AI technology, if we're not careful, we can ruin a whole season for ourselves. And I'm going to try to explain that. I am the world's worst at looking into the future at the weather. Mainly because weather intrigues me, but mostly because the fall and the winter are some of my, let me put it this way, used to be some of my most joyful times, because we're coming out of the tremendous heat of the summer here in the Deep South, and in this extreme heat, it's hard to really get a lot done in the Deep South, because you spend more time trying to actually stay cool and not having a heat stroke out in the heat than you do actually getting anything done. You're always looking for a shade, you're always looking to get in front of a fan, you're always looking to just cool off, And so you can't really get out, you can't really do much, But then, I used to love the dove season when it came around. In September, about the first week or two in September, dove season would come in, and I would already have my fields planted, because in late spring, I would plant my fields with brown millet or sunflowers or corn, and then when I harvested corn, we'd bush hog what was left, and the kernels would fall on the ground, the doves would come in, or we'd bush hog a couple of rows of millet, bush hog a couple of rows of sunflower, the doves would just pile in. And usually the first, in the beginning of dove season, it usually went to first week or two in September to the first week in October. You would have to wear a long sleeve shirt in the morning, because it'd be in the 60s, it'd be nice. You could get out, and by the time the sun come up around 9 or 10 o'clock, you could take your long sleeve off and you could enjoy it up to about dinner time. And it would get warm again, but not hot, just warm. And then when October come around, when I was a young boy, I was a young lad, I say, my dad would take me hunting when I was, 10, 11 years old. And October the 1st, we had to wear jackets. There was a frost. And my dad, he would like to have a frost before we actually ate any of the squirrels, because they, to kill any wolves or anything that might be in them. And we would always enjoy the coolness. We'd go out in the mornings and we'd squirrel hunt first. We hunted every weekend in October. My dad just loved squirrel hunting. He'd take me with him as a young kid. But it's not that way anymore. Things have changed. And then by the time November came around, we was having some pretty good freezes and frosts and stuff here in the Deep South, and pecans were already falling like crazy. We would be out picking up pecans, the wind would be blowing a little brisk, and it'd be nice and chilly, and you could pick up pecans, you didn't get hot, it was just a joyful time. The trees would produce, they would fall like they're supposed to fall, and life just seemed to be really good, and then Thanksgiving would come around. It would always be cold. We'd have a fireplace going with a fire in it, and the family would sit around the fire, and we would eat pumpkin pie and turkey, and then after everybody would eat, we'd run off onto the back piece of the property and go deer hunting, because it'd be cold, and we'd usually take a couple of deer and bring them up and skin them out and hang them, butcher them right after Thanksgiving, because most everybody had the week of Thanksgiving off, and we had time to hunt and enjoy family and just have a good time. And then it would be really cold by then. We'd be getting some pretty good freezes, and then December would come around, and all the gun seasons was open and everything. We would do a lot of deer hunting during December, and especially up toward Christmas. It was always cold at Christmas. But now, let's fast forward to now. I was looking this weekend. I've been staying in a lot. I'm having a lot of trouble with my heart. We're trying to figure out what's going on with my heart. I've been in the emergency room and having test after test after test. They come back and tell me that there's nothing really wrong with me, but yet my heart every second beat, every third beat, wants to add a beat or skip or do something, stop and then start back. They say that it's resetting itself because it's the top chamber is telling the lower chamber to fire when it's not supposed to, and all this kind of stuff. And they've checked everything. They've been through me like crazy, but told me that I'm not going to have a stroke. I'm not in AFib. They flooded me with magnesium, thinking that maybe I had a low magnesium deficiency, because the test really doesn't show true magnesium and how the body absorbs it. Didn't do anything. Put me on beta blockers. Didn't do nothing. So by the time this video comes out, I will have been to a cardiologist and had sonograms and more EKGs and whatever they're going to do. I don't know. Done. But while I was sitting around, I said, well, dove season's not far off, and bow hunting season. I've been an archery hunter my whole life. I've killed 73 deer with a bow. I feel like I've been pretty successful. That's with a recurve now. I've killed several with a crossbow. And I was like, well, archery season's coming up. I need to get these food plots put in the woods down here to feed the deer with, so we can keep them fed. There's things I need to get done. So let's take a look and see what the weather looks like. I've got gardening. I need to get my fall crops ready. It kind of helps me with the timing of my cool weather crops and all this kind of stuff. I pulled up the internet and went looking at the future, what they have predicted based off of, intelligence, artificial intelligence, and I just got sad, because they showed during the month of August, the central part of the United States is going to have a little cool down. I was like, we're above average down here where we're at in the Deep South. Not unusual for August. But then September comes around and this big heat ridge builds and goes slam to almost to the North Pole, looks like. All up into Canada, all up through there. I mean, all down there, like almost all the United States is covered with above average heat all the way through September, with the exceptions of the far northwest and the northeast and maybe east of the Appalachian Mountains a little bit. And so I went on into October, still way above average for us and most of the United States. And then I was like, looked at November, still above average. And I'm like, I stole my joy. You know, it used to, you kind of anticipated coolness coming. But after seeing that, I'm like, there's no coolness coming. We're above average all the time. Now, not to say that there can't be something, a front that comes down that we don't get a little above average for, you know, a day or two or something, but as a whole, I was looking at planting my fall garden. I just got a ton of stuff in to work in my high tunnel with so we could get our cabbage and our broccoli and our cauliflower, the winter stuff that we love eating. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to be cool anytime soon. I like starting my onions, getting them in the ground. But if it's going to be above average heat, that's going to mean I'm going to have to push further into the fall to get anything started to be able to have a fall garden, or even my winter, my carrots. I usually plant them at the end of September, you know, for the winter crop of carrots. And I usually plant my broccoli and my cauliflower and all that kind of stuff at the end of September, and my onions, so that I have them ready to transplant, you know, in mid-November. And it doesn't show any coolness, and I lost my joy about having a cool fall in a nice cool winter to hunt or to feed the deer. I don't necessarily hunt that much anymore, but I do like to look at wildlife. I like to watch them. I like to video them. We have tons of video of wildlife that we've done. And this year, since I've taken out so many predators on our property, the foxes, the coons, the possums, you know, all the coyotes, everything, I've taken out so much stuff. We now have quail back on our property. I saw the cubbies with small quails, something we've never seen in years here. Turkeys, I now see flocks of turkeys with lots of little ones running around everywhere. And I'm excited, you know, because I'm thinking, man, we've got the ecosystem back, because nobody in this perimeter around me here for miles, nobody takes out the predators, you know. And they've just virtually destroyed things like quail, turkeys and stuff like that. They're almost becoming endangered here. But now they're making a comeback this year because I've been diligent on our piece of property. The young deer, well, you know, the mamas are all pregnant. We're seeing them, they're all pregnant and everything. So it looks like last year we had a bumper crop of deer. I mean, just a bumper crop. So I was looking forward to all of this, you know, being able to get out some cool, crisp days in video, and maybe do some videos for Deepsouth, maybe some videos for Pecan Grove on wildlife and stuff like that, watching them and stuff from the condo I have down there in the woods. Getting my food plots all planted and getting them up, and it shows very, very, very little rain, hot, and I made the mistake of robbing my own self of joy by placing more on tomorrow than what I should have. And you know, that is something that I think a lot of us do to ourselves, not necessarily with hunting or anything like that, but with our gardening, with just everyday life. We add to our plate, because see, the scripture tells us that no man knows what a day will bring forth. You know, I didn't know when I woke up Friday morning I was going to spend most all day in an ER. I didn't know that. But it happened. And I've been getting up, I'm going to just be honest with you, I've been getting up around 2 o'clock in the morning going outside. Because it's 70, this morning was 70. Or let's put it this way, this is Sunday morning I'm shooting this video, okay? This is Sunday morning. I went outside this morning at 2 a.m. It was 70 degrees. And I thought, man, this is nice. Light breeze blowing. Same thing Saturday morning, light breeze blowing. I went out at 2 o'clock in the morning, just walking around on the property, talking and communing with the Lord. And I'll tell you, I want to tell you why. Now, first of all, I'm not sleepy, you know. They had me on some medication trying it, and I'm just awake. So I'm out walking around, just enjoying God's creation. And some things come to mind. I sat under several rabbis in my life, studying scripture and stuff, and one of the rabbis told me that the angels visits the earth around 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah. He said in the scriptures, he went back and explained in the Hebrew how the third watch, you know, all about the third watch, you know, stuff like this, and how Christ prayed at the third watch and all this kind of stuff. And he said that's early in the morning, long before the sun comes up, because they had what they call different watches during those periods in history. And he always said the Lord prayed during those times, because if you looked at how many things happened during that watch, he said that's when the angels would visit the earth. And you know me, I am who I am. I've got to analyze everything. I've got to break it down. And I was like, but Rabbi, the third watch isn't the same everywhere on the earth at the same time. So the angels would have to be coming at all times to the earth. He said, yeah, they start one side of the earth, they work their way around the earth till they get back over to the third watch over there again. Ministering. And I couldn't argue with that. I was like, okay, I'm not going to argue with you. I said, but he said, if you want to commune with the Lord, do it around between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. So the Lord's been waking me up, or the medication has, I don't know, you know, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I go out and just walk around in the fields and everything, barefooted as a yard dog, and just looking up at the crystal blue sky, none of the stars everywhere. There's not a cloud in the sky, no chemtrails, nothing. I mean, it's just been for weeks on end. It's just been stark raven, just like when I lived up north, there's what we call the bluebird effect. You know, the sky's just crystal blue, and at night it's just nothing there but just stars. We live in what's called, if you ever go on a Google Earth, you can Google what's called dark places on the earth. You know, it's where there's no city lights, can be seen from distances and all that kind of stuff. Well, we live in one of those dark zones where you can actually look up into the heavens and there's no light. You can look in the east, north, south, east, west. There's no light. It's just dark, you know. And I love that, because the stars light the earth up. And people like it because they claim that it's good for photography at night and stuff like that. But as I walk around, you know, I commune with the Lord, and these things are brought to my mind about not adding anything to tomorrow. Because tomorrow has, the scriptures has evil sufficient enough for itself. And I've got this appointment Monday at this cardiologist in the city, and I don't like cities. I don't even know where it's at in the city that I'm going to, but I've got to go to it. And if I'm not careful, it adds a little anxiety to me. Now, it doesn't bother me being in the city, but it's just that it's the uncertainty of everything. The world we live in is just chaotic. It's crazy. I've worked in downtown New York and all over the world, country. You know, I mean, the city don't bother me, but I just know what's involved in the cities and all the traffic, stuff like this. I just don't like that lifestyle. When I retired and come home from traveling all over the country and being in all these giant cities and working in all this chaos and stuff like this, I just told myself I'm not going back to these places no more. I don't want to. I haven't lost anything there. I don't want to go back. And for the last, I'm going to say for the last 20 years of my life, I have stayed out of big cities. You you know. And I have had to visit them frequently, occasionally, you know, just be in and out real quick, but not going back just to be rambling in a big city. But I'm just sitting back going, Lord, I know you've got it lined up for me to go see this cardiologist, and he's supposed to be one of the best in his field. So I said, you know what? I've been doing this now for 13 years, and nobody has been able to tell me anything about what's going on with my life. I said, Father, I'm going to do this one more time. And if this gentleman can help me, or can come up with, or get me to somewhere that I can make where my life can be a little more enjoyable than it is, and maybe feel a little bit better, because I feel really, really bad every day of my life. Very seldom do I ever have a really, what I call a good day. I always have some kind of physical issues, and I don't go around telling people all that. I try to be upbeat. I try not to let it be known that, you know, that my heart's out of rhythm and that things are going on in my life physically, that I'm hurting here, I'm hurting there, you know. I try not to let that be known. I try to move forward and try to show people that life is worth living, even with disabilities and problems going on in your life. But I do catch myself adding something to the plate for the next day, like knowing I have to go to the city tomorrow to go to this cardiologist and try to find this place. You know, I've never been one for much on anxiety or anything like that, but it does add a little anxiousness to me, and I've asked the Lord to remove that from me, because I don't like that feeling. You know, I really don't. Never have been one to be that way. As a matter of fact, most of my life I lived on the edge, and that's probably why my heart's the way it is. That's what I was told anyway. I always liked the thrills of life, the things that were dangerous and things like this. And but now I'm older, I'm mellowed out, and I don't really care much about that. I just want to live my life and enjoy what the Lord has blessed us with, enjoy the relationship I have with my wife, because that has been taken from me once in my life, and I don't want it to happen. You know, I want to be able to spend the rest of my life enjoying what I can with Wanda. I want to be able to provide for her, and I want us to be able to enjoy the things that the Lord has blessed us with. And really the only way we can do that is by not adding something to tomorrow and making us sad about tomorrow before it ever gets here. So that's kind of where I'm at today, guys. You know, I want us to come to the point in life where, and I'm saying this because I mean, we've got a lot of friends right now that's going through a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, a lot of physical issues going on, and I see people struggling every day. And I'm like, Lord, you know, we talk about the good old days, and what we look back and call the good old days were probably not the good old days for the people who were living then, because they had their struggles just like we have ours today. But it sure does seem like when I was a young married man, I had as good a health as I could have, because I've been broke all to pieces. I've been told I wasn't going to live several times, and yet the Lord brought me through. And I always, you know, pressed forward. Financially, I've lost everything I've owned twice in my life, and had to start all over again. So I know what it is to walk those roads. And I've always been positive. I've always been very upbeat about starting again. The old expression goes, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and carry on, you know, cowboy up. You know, that's what they always used to tell me, cowboy up. And I've always tried to be positive and move forward. And I want to set that kind of example for people. Whatever goes on in my life is not important to me. What's important to me is the example I set for those that watch me or that know me, especially my children, my grandchildren, stuff to this nature. That is what's most important to me, is the legacy that I'm going to leave when I leave this earth. And I will leave this earth, everybody always does. I just want to leave a good name. My father left a very good name. Lots of things that goes on in my life is because my father left a good name. When people ask me who I am, and they go, "Oh, are you Robert's boy?" And I'm like, "I'm his oldest." And they go, "Oh, he was a good man." And they look, they're more than willing to work with me because of who my father was. So, leaving a legacy and a good name behind. As a matter of fact, the scripture tells us that a good name is better than rubies and diamonds and all kinds of stuff, you know. It also tells us when you get, you know, to get wisdom, it's more valuable than rubies and stuff like that. I mean, so stop and think about it. The things that we classify in this world as being valuable, to God means nothing. And yet we look at it as being something. So what does it mean to be successful? To be successful to me means has nothing to do with what you own. It means leaving behind a good name and doing what the scripture says. The Bible, the scriptures says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's grandchildren. That's even to the grandchildren. And I sit back and I look at that and I said, the world we live in today, all we can think about is us. I want this big old house. And we get ourselves deep in debt, which is something my daddy told me. He said, "Son, don't ever live outside your means." And I never have. I've always lived within my means. It meant living in some little bitty places. It meant living in some places I didn't want to live. It meant not taking some of the jobs that was the high paying jobs, because it would have put me into a place that I could have afforded the housing at where the jobs was, but if the job played out, then I couldn't afford the housing. So I had to use some wisdom and some discernment and realize that just because I was really good in some fields didn't mean that I had to pursue those areas, or that I had the education. I went to school to be a mechanic. I didn't pursue. I went 1 year a mechanic at a Chevrolet dealership and realized, I said, no, this ain't for me. I'm not going to do this, you know, because it's just it's not going to pay. Not what I want in life. And I've always lived in houses that were up front were not completely finished. I had to finish them, you know. They weren't big fine homes, and finally there come a day by living that lifestyle that I could afford to build a really nice home, and I could afford to pay for my land, and I could afford to pay for everything that I owned, because I didn't live outside my means. And now Wanda and I, people think we're filthy rich. We're not. We don't have house payments, you know. We don't have land payments. We don't have all these payments that everybody has. And when we do make money, we can put it into our high tunnels. We can put it into our tractors. We can put it into our gardening. You know, we can put it into our barns. We can put our money into things that we enjoy, because we didn't live outside of our means. There was periods of time in mine and Wanda's life where we lived on less than $500. Struggled. I couldn't work because of my physical issues, and had no jobs. Me and Wanda, either one didn't have a job. We were freaking out how we were going to pay the power bill, and we didn't go nowhere. We just stayed home, and we unplugged everything except the refrigerators and the deep freezers. We didn't watch TV. I mean, we didn't do nothing. We just we worked in the gardens. I mean, we just done stuff like that. I would take a little job here and there that I physically, due to my health at the time, I could do. Like maybe I put wired houses. I would put a little tile down in the bathroom maybe, or we done some flooring in the house. I've done some sheetrock finishing, some stuff that I could do, and the people weren't in a hurry, you know, and we'd make a little bit of money. We built some kitchen cabinets for some people. We've done some of these things that made us a little bit of money to get by, and you know, then we started YouTube, mainly as a way to pay for the internet, and we started using it to glorify the Lord with, and the Lord has allowed it to grow, and now it is a place that we enjoy. It's a place that we share the gospel with people. We show people how to survive. You know, we talk about lots of different things. We do a lot of DIYs, different things like that, guys. We try to be encouraging, things to this nature. It's not popular. I don't go on the internet and look at what's trending and try to come up with videos. I'm not a content creator. I don't go out and try to create some content to have a video. When you see me sit down like this, I do this because y'all asked me to do this. When we were working in the high tunnel, I'm not trying to go out there and say, Wanda, we got to find something to do in the high tunnel so we can make a video. We don't do that. That's just what we do every day. You know, if I'm out messing around with the cows, working in the shop, working at, Wanda just has a camera. She's just right there. I mean, it's our life. We have exposed ourselves, which is something I swore once I got out of the system years and years ago, I was never going to do again. And I said, I'm out of this system. I don't want to, I don't want anybody messing with me no more. I've done my time, and I just want to be alone. And lo and behold, God had other plans. He always said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Well, I guess he laughed, because he said, no, I want you to do this. And I did not want to do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I hate computers. I hate technology. Even though I know a good bit about it, I hate it. I don't even want to think about it. I try to forget as much of it as I can. But yet, it's the avenue that the Lord has chosen for me to be able to do what I'm doing now. And it can be used for good as much as it can be used for evil. So, guys, please do not ruin tomorrow. Don't do the things that I've been guilty of doing by adding something to tomorrow that's not there. It's a clean slate. Let tomorrow come and enjoy the day that the Lord has given you, because it's always a good day when you can get up that morning, put your shoes on, and take them off that night. That's a good day. It's a bad day when you get up and put your shoes on and somebody else takes them off. That's a bad day, you know. So keep in mind that we shouldn't add things to tomorrow, but that we should look forward to tomorrow. I've got to learn to quit looking way into the future on the weather and getting downhearted, because I know now, and I'm ruined now for, unless God intervenes and changes the weather some way, I'm ruined now until December, you know, and I don't even want to know what's going to happen after December. I know now it's probably going to be really warm where I'm at down here, and it just breaks my heart, you know, but it was my own fault for looking. And don't make that mistake, guys. Just live your days, enjoy every day of your life as though it was your last day. Thank you, guys, from Deepsouth, Homestead.